Hello, and welcome back to another Pauper video. Today we're trying Elves, and as per usual, we're just trying a slight variation, a few cards different. Um, so I've played Elves in a few leagues. I think 4-1 a couple of times, 3-2, nothing great. I would say my experience with Elves is that I win the matches I should definitely win, and I lost all the matches I should probably lose. And it's I'm not a great Elves player, but the deck is very powerful. When it does its thing, it's very hard to beat. Um, what I found quite difficult to balance, and the classic skill in Magic playing a creature deck, is how you balance, playing to the board around against playing around a sweeper. So with Elves in particular, the problem that I'd find was that you know you would get to the point where your opponent has to have something good. Um, and if you played an extra 1 mana 1/1, it wouldn't really do anything. Um, and then they have their sweeper, and how do you rebuild? So say you have two Llanowar Elves and a Timberwatch Elf, and three lands in play. You're not a ramp deck that has a load of non-creature mana. So if you played your Timberwatch Elf out for the turn and that got bolted, it was a disaster. If you played your Llanowar Elves first, it takes you an extra turn then to play your Timberwatch Elf before you can start attacking again. Even if you play Timberwatch Elf first, it sits on the board, but it's an extra turn. If you've only got 3 mana, you can't play a creature to then tap to pump. Tap the Timberwatch Elf to pump. You can't attack with the Timberwatch Elf and pump itself. So basically, that extra turn lag rebuilding, you know, was something that I kind of found I struggled with. Um, And that's part of what's drawn me to the card that we're trying to build around today, which is Elvish Guidance. Um, I don't know if people have tried playing this before. It's one of these, it's a card that's old enough, they might not have. Or it might not have in combination with the newer cards that we have now. Um, the idea here being that it's a non-creature mana source that doesn't get swept away, and if they do have a sweeper, say, we can rebuild more quickly. Um, there will also be times where we pay 3 mana, put this on a land, they kill our elves, we have no elves in play, this is 3 mana, no effect. But we'll swing for the fences and try and high roll the situation where this is good. So if we're playing Elvish Guidance, we enchant on a forest. Makes sense to play a bunch of Arbor Elves. So basically, with Elvish Guidance on a forest, it basically makes an Arbor Elf into another Priest of Titania. So you've got, instead of 4 ways to make a silly amount of mana, you now have between 7 and 11, and the same as you can get the like Quirion Ranger, Priest of Titania type combos. You've now got, well, I guess Arbor Elf, Priest of Titania, if that makes sense. Calling the Elvish Guidance Priest of Titania, and instead of uh, Quirion Ranger Priest, you could also do Quirion Ranger, Arbor Elf, Elvish Guidance. So yeah, the point is, what we lose in some consistency, the floor on a 1/1 is it can always attack or block. We might make up for by some more power. So I thought this was quite a cool thing. Obviously, if you're going to try and do something with a silly amount of mana, it makes sense to look at X spells. And unfortunately, Nyx-Born Hydra is basically the only good green X spell. Let's just prove this to everybody. If we scroll all the way down to the bottom here, um, none of the make creature things have trample. This isn't even put X1/1 counters on one creature. This isn't permanent. None of these, are any good. Just flat out. I wouldn't want to play like say an 8 mana spell. 8 mana spell in colorless. Sorry, let's look at it's very expensive spell, or an 8 mana spell in colorless, like a Ulamog's Crusher or something silly like that. Because if you don't get your draw in exactly as you like, you can always play this for less. You don't want to be sat with creatures in your hand that you can't cast. So in terms of how we're going to use the mana, I guess one quick confession. So I sold my Avenging Hunters that I had on Magic Online because I saw the price spiked crazy, and it's not come back down yet. I don't know if it will. I don't know what caused the spike, but I sold my Avenging Hunters, and currently, if I bought them back, I'd lose a couple of ticks. It's not the end of the world, but you know, pride and decision making. I don't want to do that. So instead, we're not playing any Avenging Hunter, which I think is a mistake. If I was playing a tournament, I would. Um, and we're using Beast Rider Vanguard combined with and Wild Heart Invoker as big mana sinks in that kind of um, Avenging Hunter slot. This is what we're doing instead. This is one of these spells where, like I say, it costs 8 mana to do something. Otherwise, it's a 4/3. 4/3 is fine. But possibly we will get to 8 mana or more than 8 mana with this deck. I think this is probably the better one because it gets the game over. Slight issue with the Beast Rider Vanguard being if you activate it, what are you ending up doing? If what you're going to end up doing is paying 6 mana for a free Arbor Elf, that doesn't actually advance your board state. Like, in that situation, the board might have stalled out a bit. It kind of needs to find, I guess, basically an Nyxborn Hydra, Timberwatch Elf to move the game forwards. So that's the main deck. Sideboard, I've just taken a normal Elf sideboard. I like Viridian Longbow, again, in a deck that might be able to put a lot of mana in play. That seems cool. And there's like what seems like an absurd amount of life gain in here. But there's a lot of red decks running around, and I guess you've got good matchups into some of the other bits. We've got the 4th Masked Vandal. It looks fine. I'm kind of out of the loop on elf things, and there wasn't a kind of big mana thing I wanted in the sideboard. So this is the idea that we're going to try. I'm quite excited about, unless I'm missing something, there isn't a real reason why Lanor Elves is better than Arbor Elf. You're only playing for us anyway. And then if you're playing Arbor Elf anyway, Elvish Guidance could be bonkers. And then I guess the point is that since it's a long time since Onslaught, Nyxborn Hydra is a crazy good X spell. It's a shame there's nothing else that really does this. But right, with that, let's jump into a league. Right, we are on the play in round 1. And we've got turn 2 Elvish Guidance with an Arbor Elf. We'll keep. We will bear in mind that at this point in time, Elvish Guidance is a worse overgrowth, even with the 2 elves in hand. And just thinking about whether there's any way we get fancy at all here. Like if we played a Well-Wisher, they can't spell stuff to sprite anything in our hand next turn. It would mean that we don't get to use this mana, but we would be able to use it next turn to Elvish Guidance, Forest, tap it for 2, but that doesn't do anything either. We could lead the Stampede, but that's a bit sad. I'm just going to try and scale my mana and then bear in mind Spell Stutter if they don't, alternatively they might be making ninjas and doing that type of thing. We will have to see what they do. They went top bottom. Currently look like they could still be mono blue. They have a ninja. I think the Dimir, for example, tends to pay more of the ninja of the deep hours only. So the coast looks like it might be pretty clear if we can go nuts somehow. Going nuts isn't particularly crazy. What we can Well-Wisher, which is basically free, and then pay, I'll make 2 mana. 3 mana. Okay, that could be a bit nuts. Do we want to lead the Stampede then? And just try and go completely over the top of what they're doing with the Hydras later? I mean, that sounds tempting. So it's not a crazy good lead the Stampede. Part of that is, again, there's an Elvish Guidance in here, which isn't a creature. But we do get to make a Timberwatch Elf, which again is net plus 2 mana next turn. Or we could just drop the Hydra. I think I kind of just want to drop a Hydra. Make them stay home. We've got another one as backup. I could block the Moonsuck Howker with a Well-Wisher, but if they have one of the Brian Barrow Intruder type effects, that would be pretty bad. Yeah, so this is plus. It's not a kind of tap for this or this, if that makes sense. They have a snap. I don't think that's the end of the world for us. We're not going to block now because our elf in play is, again, plus 2 mana. And, Brian Barrow Intruder type things. Discard an island, so they might well have a counterspell. But we're hoping that. Yeah, I was going to say, they counterspell our Timberwatch Elf, and we just slam a bunch more mana into play. I want my reach creature, and I want my longbow. I kind of might want a Well-Wisher. I feel like the mono blue elves don't control the board, and actually just gaining life gets you to a point that you're not going to die to something else. But these 5 are good. Invoker seems pretty awkward. Beast Rider Vanguard's kind of weirdly good because it's something you can sit and play and grind through cards. Mass Vandal blocks all their ninjas and ground guys. Mass Vandal, we could kill a Moonsucker Hacker, but that's not particularly exciting. It's mostly just, is a 1/3 better than a 1/1? And then maybe cut an Elvish Guidance, because we just don't need. I don't want to cut all of them. I probably should cut more of them. There's a reason Elves is normally so favoured. I don't want to make it worse, have too many dead draws. But yeah. There is an argument to be made. Mass Vandal is better than Elvish Guidance, but if what we're trying to do is Elvish Guidance something, then we will play that effect. Right, we are on the draw now, obviously. And we've got the V2 Ghazi Inspector and an Arbor Elf. We've got our mana kind of underneath us, could scale well. If they have a gut shot, we've still got plays. My dog is having a bit of a bark, so I'll go and check on that in a second. So they have a Moonsucker Hacker, and they tap back out. So we're just slamming the Inspector, which, is, like we were saying about Mass Vandal, but this is just Mass Vandal but better. We don't need to worry about collecting evidence, though we could with the Generous Ant for 2 life, or the alternative would just play the Longbow. I am very interested in this Longbow. We could also play the Quirion Ranger, which is kind of mana neutral. I guess the Quirion Ranger is better in play than not in play. It's -1 mana next turn, and we do have a Generous Ant we could cycle. Yeah, okay, let's just play the Inspector, untap a forest, play the Longbow, pass back. Elves is, again, I guess we're still at the point where we're saying we'll try and win the matches that we should win, and then my experience is I lose the matches I should lose. Mono Blue Fae should be very close to a bye. Actually, holding the Quirion Ranger so that they use Bind the Monster has a bit of value, but again, if they have Bind the Monster in hand, then there's only so much they have to choose a target eventually. Quirion Ranger Viridian Longbow is pretty silly as well, isn't it? So play Quirion, untap a forest, add 2 mana. We can untap this and then untap this in their turn. This gives us Timberwatch Elf and untap another forest. Or we can just equip the Longbow and just start machine gunning stuff. That's kind of bad against the snap. Yeah, I'm just going to play the Timberwatch Elf. I guess this means that we didn't actually need to untap this guy. Maybe it's Force Spike. Or we can land cycle the Generous Ant. But yeah, the important thing is in their turn we can activate Quirion Ranger again. And then tap this. So again, if I was to play a tournament right now, I play Is It Fae. I'm not completely convinced that Is It Fae is a better deck than Mono Blue, but Mono Blue does have the problem of, having some incredibly poor matchups that you just want to avoid. I think I'm just going to block the hacker for now. If we block this, we might be able to take them off of Spell Stuttering 3, but that doesn't change any of what we have in hand. And more likely we're equipping the longbow to something next turn. We've already kind of got our net +1 card from the Bind the Monster. Yeah, they save their guy. And they have a ninja. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's enough to kind of go silly on a winding way. I guess we'll keep the Ent in hand then. Is what we were counting there, sorry. Or do we just suit up a longbow and start? That's my sound effects. No, let's winding way and just keep scaling. So we just have 2 impossible wards now. And obviously a Timberwatch Elf to untap this, pick up this, untap this. Oh, and we can bestow evidence. How lucky. I'll bestow evidence onto my Timberwatch Elf, so it can block ground ninjas. And just pass back because, pressure's not on us in this matchup. We just scale harder. They go for a bind now, so they have seen that we are aware of Quirion Ranger. We could have tapped it, I guess. Just make them take another 5, sorry. We don't need to start our turn with Forest in play. This matchup is no fun from the Fairies side. Right, so we kind of got to do the thing in game 1. We made a bunch of mana, helped us go over the top, but there's not a lot to say about this matchup. We'll see how the other games go. Right, so we are back for round 2. Obviously, can't keep it. It does have a guidance and an Arbor Elf though. And this has a old school Elvish guidance. I'm going to keep this. I've got to think, Elves players, that you're not mulling to 5 on this hand. We'll see whether we get to play the game or not. Opponent mulliganed heavily. I say this quite often. To me, that used to be the Boggles check. That deck used to have to mulligan quite a lot to find a Bogle. Now it more makes me think Spy. They just have a bunch of lands that don't have a forest or a land grant to get the ball rolling. Leading with a forest and not having a different turn 1 play does reinforce Spy to me, and as does Generous Ant. So we've got 3 Fairy Macabres as a plan for. Whoa! Tron. A green Tron deck's probably a good matchup for us because whilst they can, go pretty nutty with mana, ours deck's just more exponential. They can get to, they can get to 7 mana quickly and consistently around being disrupted. But I think we're going to win a race to 20 mana. I don't want to see a red source and some kind of board sweeper. 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like we're just playing a Generous Ant. That's how maths works. Do they not do anything on their turn? They crop rotated for a Tron land and then pass back. And then they have a 7-6, we have a 7-5-7. That goes poorly for us. But luckily for us, we have more. The Arbor Elf is free because we have the Priest. And I mean, we could just suit up a giant Nyxborn Hydra, but I think I'm just going to play the other Generous End first instead. Why? Why is that good? I guess that we've got more ways to make Nyxborn Hydra even more mana next turn. We can like block with a Elvish Mystic and a Generous End, but that makes our Hydra smaller again. Fangren, yeah, again, big boy, but they can't currently attack. Well, they can, but it's not hugely profitable. They trade a Brambleworm for a Generous End. Ding, ding, ding. This deck's so stupid sometimes. Looks like it is just more Generous Ends. Again, at some point we'll bestow a Hydra and start attacking, but I'm still thinking that they are mono green. You know, oh god, this was not on the radar. Presumably this kills the priest now? Yeah. And it's a 7/7 flying, which still doesn't attack through very well. Oh man. Just Ents all the way down. That's so funny. Well, yeah, we are in a bit of a stalemate. Well, you can crew this. This would be interesting to see if they have another colour of mana or if they get another tower. And they gain so much life, and I don't want to see like blue mana. Blue mana could be a sign that they're also playing something that can go over the top exponential. Mono green, I think, is pretty safe for us. Was this another Brambleworm? We've got food tokens to feed Ulamog's Crushers. Maelstrom Colossus is just another big Dumbo, right? Yeah. Like we could just double block this with our army of Generous Ents. I guess I'm just going to keep playing out my guys in case we draw an Elvish Guidance. I don't really want to, you know, the Hydra with a mana scaling thing is going to kind of win us the game. I don't want to play it for less than a crazy amount. You can start picking off the old Generous Ents. They kill one now, they kill one in combat. Things are starting to look a bit grim. Kill one now with this. You kill one in combat, and then we're left with 2, so we can double block this, but we can't really use it to eat Brambleworms anymore. We might even be eating some food. I'll probably eat 2 food as a kind of one turn of. I should have bothered 3 just in case, but if we keep 2 food, we have 1 turn of Ulamog's Crusher protection. We gain them another 10 life. Again, if we have to, we'll play the Hydra, but it'd be nice not to have to. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. So we could put another 7/7 on this. But this doesn't have trample, this doesn't have trample. Maybe we have to, maybe like the only way maybe we can feasibly lose, maybe we can feasibly lose by just like being a bit too greedy for a bit too long. We could bestow this for 7, make it an 8 power guy. We just stick on a Generous Ent. I think I'd rather have a 3rd blocker. And then I might even put it on a Arbor Elf instead. We can always untap it with the Quirion. Yeah. This goes badly if they have another, what's it called? Pinnacle Killship. If they can kill a Generous Ent and then we can't, we don't get on very well blocking. But, oh no! 8. I mean, I'm glad I played the Hydra out, in that we could be taking quite a lot of damage. This is what I meant by like, they need to have something to go nuts with, otherwise we'll just get there, basically. They untap the Hydra for us. This is quite cool. Just another thing that you could Ghostly Flicker, for example. I might have to try Green Tron again. Or like, mostly Green Tron. Not quite mono green. I don't know what you call it. Workshop some names. So I'm glad that we don't have Avenging Hunter in our deck at the minute. Might be good in subsequent games, but for now it seems a bit of a. It seems like it'd be a bit of a liability. Can't believe I just spent what 10 minutes bad mouthing Green Tron, and we're just about to get smooshed by it. That rush of knowledge was great. So they just feed us one of these. Block the Trampler. Just take 7. Timberwatch Elf can go a long way to shutting down the ground again, or even letting us start attacking. But obviously not now, because we don't want to trade any of our like Nyxborn Hydra for just a 7/7. Is this another Maelstrom Colossus? That was your best creature last time. Another kill ship, my god. Well, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 kill ships down, so they're out of removal, is what I'm telling myself. They're a silly life. We will kill this. I think I'm just going to kill these. Do I want to block Arbor Elf on this? I don't hate that. I should be playing this forest out. It's not like I'm bluffing anything. They know we have it, and then if we draw, for example, a Winding Way, we could use that mana. Less important if we start the turn with a Priest of Titania that's, also a crazy amount of mana. What have you got? Haunted Fengraf can't get back Pinnacle Killship, I believe, as their kind of potential techie lands. Yeah, the Nyxborn Hydra's put in work though, hasn't it? 7/8 being kind of the exact number it needed to be. We don't want them to have their own Nyxborn Hydra. Oh, they pick up Brambleworm? Oh, creature or land. That's really bad for really funny, really bad for them. Again, they can't get back the kill ships. I've got to think they've got Nyxborn Hydra in their deck somewhere. If you're doing like a big green mana thing. But either they have never drawn one, they're, got the luxury of waiting for it to be amazing when they do. Just thinning out all of the lands from their deck. Just all bangers. Again, like we could draw, there's cards that we could draw that would be okay, like Mass Vandal, helps tidy up this board a bit. But really we need something that's going to go, exponential with having not a crazy amount of mana, but a pretty decent amount of mana. Do we want to feed the Arbor Elf to one of these? Not yet, I don't think. We take 14, we'll gain the life this turn. Take down our potential Ulamog's Crusher Shield. This, essentially stops one of these from hitting us. Well, Lead the Stampede is almost perfect. It is really pretty good. So we just tidy up their board like more or less completely. Assuming I've got some creatures in here to get rid of. It sure felt like I've been doing enough blocking to have some. Do I want to save one of these if something else, for like a Nyxborn Hydra? A Nyxborn Hydra's just got to be lethal, right? This means we can actually attack for quite a bit of damage. I say quite a bit. 12 and they're on 111. I might just leave the Ent back though, because I can only untap one of our creatures with the Quirion. Oh no, I could untap the other one as well, because we can. We missed the chance to replay the land there, is what I'm saying. I'm going to block if they have I don't know, some kind of. What's the scavenge guy? Bannerhide Krishok or something. Fair beats. No, it's just another Brambleworm. Okay. So unless there's Nyxborn Hydras going on, I'm going to stick to my guns on what I said earlier about, it being advantaged if we just go over the top of them. But we really need, like, this would be a great spot for that the 2-mana guy that looks at 3 cards for a permanent. Terrible spot for them to draw an X-Born Hydra. Great spot for us to draw an X-Born Hydra. How much mana do they have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 15, 18, 21, 24, 25, 26. What are we doing? I'm just going to block again. It worked last time. Okay. Wasn't on my radar. And thus begins the slow work. I was going to say, I assume that they had something they were sat on if they swept up like that. We can Hydra for another 4 count for 5. I think I'm going to sit on this. Again, like, we've got ways to make it go nuts. Being able to attack for 5 a few turns in a row isn't worth playing this and then having them play a 7-power creature, like another Bramble Worm, and then we're just not able to interact in combat. If that's the break point, we're still short of making 7 power. So either they're in their 60-card deck, they're 40 cards in and they've not seen a Nyxborn Hydra, or they don't have Nyxborn Hydra. And I really, really hope it's the second one. Although you could hit one off of that and I wouldn't mind too much. Okay, draw 7 again. I thought they revealed a Fangren. It was not a Fangren. Oh, god damn it. What a game. So they go top, they can draw into whatever they topped. Again, I keep saying that word, but Hydra is lethal. If they don't have Hydra in their if they have Hydra in their deck, surely they can't all be in the bottom 12 cards. And they may continue to astound us. Not dead yet. Now we're in trouble. And now the Vanguard turns up. So we can block here, take 7, play the Vanguard and block here. Or we can Hydra for like another. No, we can Hydra for like another 1 mana to let us block the Bramble Worm a turn early, but I don't think that does enough. So if we had another turn and we could put. Yeah, or if we'd have just played this for 6. I think we had the option 2 last turn. It would be 5 power. Oh well. So watch out for Swirling Sandstorm and Breath Weapon, which we don't really have ways to deal with in our sideboard. Right, I'm going to get out of here. But again, I feel like this is going to end up being a good matchup. I don't know whether they were sat on some of their sweepers for certain turns, but like, we had some good draws to draw to, and then they hit their good draws in at stages that set us back a long way, let's say. But I'm not overall too worried. I'm going to cut the Well-Wisher for another Masked Vandal. And I think more or less just run it back. I think we saw, what's it called? The return card. So maybe we want some Fairy Macabre like Graveyard Hate, but I'm not too interested in anything else. I think we just run it back. I think we aren't badly positioned. This hand is kind of slow and doesn't do anything. I'm going to keep again, and that might be a mistake. I'm a bit grumpy about losing that last one. Like, I don't know. We had quite a few good draws for quite a few turns. I guess not many of our draws let us go nuts and actually start ending the game, if that makes sense. We need a few turns to put something together, start grinding through, but maybe we would always just get disrupted by the Breath Weapon. But I think realistically we're 1 turn away from having another big I don't know. So 4. Oh, I miscounted, didn't I? Because this is mana neutral because I played my land for the turn. Oh, that's embarrassing. Tap a load of mana, play a Quirion Ranger. Attack you for 1. Got him! What did they fetch for? They fetched for a power plant and got a coloured source. Obviously, we're playing into Breath Weapon, Swirling, Sandstorm, or whatever it was. All of that. They have Tron and have red mana, so it's a bit spooky. We're going to start playing Generosent. Again, Generosent outclassed by a few creatures in their deck. Don't want to be Breath Weaponed. Don't mind a Brambleworm. Do we play out another Llanowar Elves? I don't think we do. Maybe this is bad because we want to play a Nyxborn Hydra on one of these instead of letting them attack and trading for one of them. I don't hate the trade. That Elvish Presence card would be pretty bonkers here. Now comes the Breath Weapon. This means they can't attack. Well, I guess they could. It would still just be a trade of Brambleworm for an Ent. Okay. Guess we'll double block. Elvish Presence would be less good now, but would get good again in our next turn. I would very much like to be able to play an Ent or else have a bigger, again, I think we have a few board states. My expectation is we're gonna have a few points this game where we're gonna have a big enough board state that it's worth that, we can smash a huge Hydra. We kind of had that last game where we did have a few turns, we had a silly amount of mana, but unfortunately we'd already had to Hydra to stabilize earlier on. If we can be patient this time, which this helps us do because we get to stop them attacking. We can afford to be patient this time. I think everything I've said previously should still hold. But our eyes are on what we know as 4 Pinnacle Kill Ships as removal, at least a Breath Weapon and a 5 mana and the 5 damage sweeper. 2, 4, 5, 6. They're only at 20. Oh no, so they get another tower now and can play it. No, they don't get a tower. Thinking they get another tower and can play another 7 mana spell. Well, so this puts Hydra up to 5 power as a 5/6, which a 5/6 can do something on a few boards. So if we, I guess the other side of it is if we bestow a Generous and then just smash, they take 10 this turn. I think they're so likely to be able to make, gain some life, make another creature, and then the Ent can't attack anymore. Not thrilled about it, but I think I'm just passing. I guess we can attack for 5. Every little helps. They pulse back a Brambleworm. Yeah, lots of life. But that's, the one of the many ways I'm expecting they could make another guy that would make having a 10 power creature just not really matter. They attack back. Yeah, so we traded 5 for 5. That's probably not a great trade for us. We have the Invoker, but he's not online yet, which is, goes to show how much mana he costs to activate. He's still a 4/3. I'm expecting this is going to get picked off by a kill ship. They sweep now. I mean, yeah, I think they've done it. I think we didn't keep a good hand either game. We didn't get. Well, this was a matchup where the sideboard card would have been pretty good. So the Elvish Presence would have been pretty good, and we didn't draw one. I'm expecting they just have another huge guy they can play to the board, and then or the Brambleworm again. and we're just going to get killed by this because we're out of, they've got 4 cards in hand. We don't have the Hydra doing anything. If we keep this, it can blanken artifacts. I think that's better than playing it and not jump blocking. It feels really rough to lose this match, but like, I'm starting to try and convince myself that maybe it's not as good as it seems straight up, but I'm not sure I've managed to. I think we should have mulliganed more aggressively this game, but then like, I don't know. Without sounding too salty, I think we should have drawn better. I know that without sounding too salty never really works. We will just continue to sound salty. We'll block here. If you want to pulse back your guy, sure. Breath weapon. No, just another draw 7. I do not know what we are trying to draw here. His opponent discards 4 cards to hand size. Yeah, so I'm happy with our blocks at most point in this game. I feel like we've blocked how we needed to survive. I'm happy with mulligan choices in that we kept hands that function. Neither hand was particularly amazing, but I think mulliganing, we saw Breath Weapon, we expect that they're probably going to have more in the sideboard. I don't think mulliganing to a hand that needs to be Breath Weapon to beat is that valuable. I think having more cards and then, yeah, I guess they had a Breath Weapon. Mulliganing to a hand that had to be Breath Weapon can't be that valuable. And then, you can only play the cards as you draw them. The decision points were basically around when we played Nyxborn Hydra. And I think game 1, the one that we had in play ended up doing a huge amount of work for us. So I'm struggling to believe it was a bad choice to play it when we did. In this game, we've held off on it, and I don't think we'd have been able to play it as a... I mean, maybe we could have played it face at like non-bestowed as a 7-power creature. But alright, I'm going to say bit of a weird match. I don't think Avenging Hunter would have helped us here. Like, it would be a more aggressive creature to slam, but we're not stopping their mana engine. Ours is just more fragile. Don't know. Right, we're on the play in round 3. I don't think I can keep just winding away in a dream. Maybe we can. This is just too slow against basically everybody, right? And I will keep this. To be honest, put back Generous and that's a second forest. It's tough, isn't it? I mean, if they don't interact with us, we have a pretty good mana engine. Just a shame whether we get a choice as to whether we keep Winding Way, which doesn't lose to a bolt, or Vanguard, which, could build its own Winding Way over a couple of turns. It can't be the Vanguard. Can it be the Ent or the Winding Way? I think I'm going to keep the Winding Way. So turn 1, Arbor Elf, Forest Arbor Elf. Turn 2, make 2 mana query and pick up the forest, replay it, Elvish Guidance it. And then we've got 3 mana, but we don't have any query and ranger activations left on turn 3. But if we draw a forest, we do. Alright. Now watch as they, red and we just don't get to stick anything in play. God, but we take 2.5 minutes to... Right, I guess we took a while to actually start playing, and then to resolve the moves. Oh, we're back here, aren't we? This isn't too bad. See earlier discussion of my spirits with fairies, the elves being, you win the games you should win. Although, if there's a way to lose the games you should win, pretty high on the list will be drawing 3 copies of Elvish Guidance that don't do anything. Get your Winding Way counted and just get in the bit. rather they have a ninja than pass with spell setter for Aquarium, to be honest. Although ninjas, like Ninja with the D-power is really not good for us. We're not blocking that anytime soon. Ugh. Untap the forest. 2 mana. Play Korean. Untap this. Pick up this. So we can Priest or we can Elvish Guidance. Kinda like Elvish Guidance then. Can't get snapped. Again, it turns off our Quirion Ranger, but so it turns off Quirion Ranger where Priest of Titania doesn't. Priest of Titania can now be, caught by a spell stutter. But sticking through a snap, for example, is pretty good. We weren't blocking anyway. I hadn't even thought of what happens when you put 2 Elvish Guidances on a forest. That's silly. They snap our Arbor Elf. Sure. Yeah, they've got mana to spare. Oh, that's rough, isn't it? I guess we're just playing the Priest because it doesn't get caught by spell stutter in the way that Arbor Elf does. Obviously, it does get counterspelled. They're going to get to connect with the Ninja again. Really need a forest. I guess no. Forest is only medium helpful anyway. Guess we're just keeping doing this. This gets spell stuttered as well as anything now. And that'll do it. We'll just go to game 2 and 3. Well, hopefully game 2 and 3. Maybe just game 2. Don't think Elvish Guidance was necessary. Was Elvish Guidance good or bad in that match? Tough to say, right? What did we do? We cut these before? When I've still got a cut? I don't know what the last one was. How have I just played this match and I've got no idea what the last card I cut was? Oh, there were 2 Mass Vandal. There was another Mass Vandal in there. That's probably what it was. Yeah, so was it any good? It forced them to snap us on turn 3. No, I guess that's just a good. They snapped. Mono blue play. They were on the play. They snapped us and then just countered everything we did. That's fine. That's a way to lose. I'm going to keep this. We're on the play so we can resolve a Priest. Unless there's Force Spike or, to be honest, Gut Shot's pretty brutal. I don't think they tend to play Gut Shot at the minute. And yeah, we've got like 2 great cards in the matchup. We've got some mana. I would rather, the Winding Way be another forest. That made me feel a lot safer. There is still a way that this hand loses, but maybe the matchup's good enough where you mulligan the ones that have ways, the hands that have ways to lose, but yeah. Like buying the monster's pretty brutal. Very soon it's not buying the monster, so that's fine. Choice of Vitugazi or Priest of Titania. Pretty sure we just play the Priest. No. I mean, I don't think they're blocking there, but. So they move to 5, which I'm assuming is they're trying to find a specific type of hand that can actually win the match. If they have to have mana for a ninja, I feel like we're in pretty good shape. Oh, hello. 2 mana for Priest, 3 mana for Elvish Guidance, untap it, Vitugazi and the Winding Way. I guess we're Winding Way first. Cast with its additional cost? How lucky. I don't really know where I'll put the counter. I'm going to go here, but I don't have a good reason for it. I figure this doesn't need to be a 2-4. It's been alright. It's been just more Priest of Titania, as advertised. I'm quite liking this as a thing. Trying to work out whether there's a way that you cut more like the. I was going to say nonsense. More of the toolboxy stuff and just go absolutely absurd mana. But again, you just don't really have a way to pay it off. We are mulliganing. It's a tough choice, but somebody has to make it. And then we're going to keep this, I guess. Put back for Lead the Stampede. We're probably playing Nyx for Hydra on turn 2 just as a blocker. We could put back the Longbow, but Longbow's pretty good if it's kind of a scrappy game. I could see wanting to put back the Winding Way instead of the... Yeah, maybe, so we'll Forest Cycle and put back the Winding Way, have 3 mana for the lead. That's just more likely to be able to get through a sprite. I guess we can just turn on the Longbow as well. Maybe I should have kept the Winding Way then, because I could Forest Cycle and Winding Way on turn 3 if they tap out to, tap mana to deal with this. Obviously our best rules are just, Llanowar Elves. That guy's also pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Just like so many must counter threats for them, basically. So if they pass with 2 mana up for a spell setter, we just Forest Cycle. If they tap mana, we play a just impenetrable wall. Looks like we're taking the slow road. There's ways this could go kind of poorly, but the next turn we can feed them an Elvish Mystic and then play a Uchigazi. So this is like, I definitely have a Ninja if you're playing out the sprite. We'll make sure we have this you in the end step for the Forest Cycle we want to do. You don't have a Ninja, so you're just countering a 3-drop. So that makes me tempted to play the Elvish Mystic first. When they get spell set to play the Vitu-Ghazi. That works pretty poorly against Snap and a Ninja, where they just get to counter our guy for free, snap to this, we're back where we were. But at least we get to play the Hydra. If they let this go, I think we just Longbow it. Yeah, I'm not going to play another spell here. Bit of a shame to tap 3 mana to equip this and have it snaps, but if we can tap 3 mana to kill one of their guys once, that's okay. I'm going to say we're blessed by the fact the opponent's only got 2 mana available. The other option is just play a Hydra for pay 4 mana for a Hydra. They can't spell stutter it, if it gets countered we can play the Arbor Elf. That just keeps us moving forwards a bit more effectively, whilst not feeding the sprites. Now we're at 6 mana. That's pretty real. We get the Ninja out of them, so they're going to pick up their spell stutter, presumably. We're very fortunate in this particular game that they've not, if they've been able to make a couple of land drops up to this point and could, hold back mana, play a Ninja and hold back mana for the spell stutter, we would have been in a lot more trouble. As is, I guess we're just vomiting out our hand and leaving the Longbow. Sick. I guess this is the kind of other side of what happened in our previous game where we were a bit salty. Just a little bit, not too much. I kind of want to get those Vitu-Ghazis in play. We played a land for the turn, so we can't Priest and do both Vitu-Ghazis. The Priest is bonkers. We can query in first, if that matters, and put a counter on an Elvish Mystic. The others have potential to be more than 1 mana. With the Longbow and Priest, we don't really have to fear Snap in the same way anymore. I'm going to block their Fairy. I probably should have unblocked the Elvish Mystic to block the Ninja. But we know they've got a sprite, so we just want to take them off of fairies in play. Fusogenic growth's nice. If I was, I'm a big fan of mutagenic growth in elves. In that, whenever I'm playing against elves and they have a mutagenic growth, it always feels so backbreaking. So we've got a nice play where we can put the Viridian Longbow on the Quirion, and then if they counter that, if they snap that, we can make a load of mana, and then basically reset the Quirion. And now what we play the Well-Wisher, it can't get spell stuttered. Yeah. Feels pretty safe from here, not gonna lie. Oh, another mutagenic growth, but then we can untap our guy and ping it again. But how many mutagenic growths do you have? Untap this, pick up this. Let's try again. Okay, that time it works. I guess the 2 life does matter. We'll put that here as well. And then just for rubbins, my last card's a Winding Way. We'll draw another 4 cards and just go nuts. So we have Quirion Ranger Longbow. We need it to kill another guy. But I don't think the opponent's got another turn in them. I wouldn't have. Yeah. Again, this matchup's just so polarized. And it's nice that we're on, the good guys are on the good side of it. Right, we are back for round 4. And I'm gonna keep hand has I was going to say infinite mana, but not very many elves. But we're going to keep. This could be funny, or we could just get absolutely nowhere. Oh, if it's fairies again, that'd be so. Well, I guess most blue deck, Terra's also a pretty good matchup. I'm going to be really greedy and cycle the Generous End to try and go full hilarity on just amount of mana we could make. Obviously, if we don't draw anything to do with that mana, or if we do more forests, we will regret that. But if that isn't the case, boy, that the 2-drop that looks at the top 3 cards would go so hard. It's not that much mana. 2, 4, 6, 8. It's just obviously with each one we draw, it increases by 4 each elf. We do need to draw something. So I'm at the point where I'm wondering High Tide or Terror. Terror is a lot more common. I don't recognise the opponent's name. Okay, that's something to do with your mana for sure. Playing Priest of Titania, if they don't have anything, lets us play the Guidance next turn. But if it gets countered, it means the Guidance doesn't do as much. Sorry, but if they let it resolve, we get to do both. If they counterspell it, which I think is fairly likely, then our turn gets much worse. I'd much rather have this get counterspelled. Or if they are just this is why I don't like High Tide as well, is the fact that it cosplays as the other blue decks quite well. Well, as Terror quite well. We could Elvish Guidance, but again that gets itself spell pierced. So we're just going to swing for the fences. Okay. So good news is I think that means it's Terror. Bad news is that our cool card we're trying got countered. Back to the good news, we've got 2 Priests of Titania in play and a next 1 Hydra. Back to the bad news, if the Hydra gets countered, we've got nothing. Back to the good news, we've got a load of good draws. So they can Terror or Snake. 1 Terror's fine, 2 Terrors is a problem. It's never 1 Terror. Elvish Guidance this forest. Tap for 3, play a Timberwatch Elf, and make a 5/6 next 1 Hydra. I mean, it doesn't have to be that much bigger than a 5/5. kind of puts them in a tough spot where if they're like, if they were to deem inferior or bounce this, we get to play it again bigger. But like the beast guy, Winding Whaley, the Stampede will go pretty hard. Quirion Ranger. They tap this down, we could be in a bit of trouble. Yeah, Boomerang is not the end of the world. I'm just taking 10. Any elf to turn on the Timberwatch to allow us to kill a terror is pretty nice. That's an elf. It's an elf that costs us +2 mana. Or costs us -2 mana. I guess we just bestow the Arbor Elf. We bestow it and we spell pierce, so we need to leave 2 mana back. And then we can Timberwatch Elf pump itself and block the other one. Yeah, I mean, I guess that if we're blocking and Timberwatching itself, that gets got by what's it called? Timberwatching itself gets got by the stupid Boomerang again. So actually, I would rather Timberwatch the Arbor Elf. And if we're playing this just for mana, we can play this for 50 or for the 14 power guy. Yeah. The advantage of having this be on a different body to the Arbor Elf, I think, is pretty real. I'm going to pay for 14. I don't think they're going to have Force Spike. Okay, I'll pay for 13. Obviously, they can't spell pierce it because it's a creature. But, like, they never have a Force Spike. Yeah, by Timberwatching the Arbor Elf as well, we do actually lose an elf from that. So another 5/5 would be back into being able to attack, whereas if we Arbor Elf, if we pump this, it doesn't. Yeah, some weird choices on what we want to choose to pump. I'm glad that we didn't bestow the Arbor Elf. I'm a bit sad that this is 13 power and we couldn't make it a bit, basically make it a bit more and make it so we had lethal next turn. But, you know, they can tap this guy, for example, Sleep of the Dead. We still need to be able to block. Boomerang the Hydra again. Okay. Yeah, Island Cycle. Get an island and play it. So I'm thinking we can just try and kill them. So I'm gonna block and Timberwatch itself. And they have a 1 mana way to interact with this. Unless they're maxed out on boomerangs and they're also on unsummons, which yeah would be unfortunate. And then have they missed that we've sneakily got ourselves like 4 Priest of Titania? So the Mass Spender was mana positive because we have 4 Priest of Titania in play. Mana Printer just goes brrr. Is that the thing? The brr wasn't very more like brr. 5, 10, 16, 22, 23. So does this mean we can bestow for 18 and play around spell pierce? We need to make 19, don't we? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Play around spell pierce. And I would like to go to declare attackers. Mana Printer. Arbor Elf Elvish Guidance is so funny. So if I remember correctly, we kept on trying to Nyxborn Hydra for less than 19, and they kept on refusing and bouncing it. How many times did we play this Nyxborn Hydra? We played it for X is 5, they boomeranged it. We played it for X is 13, they boomeranged it. And then we're like, fine, okay, take 20. Oh, that was funny. Fun game. So Terra's another one is typically a pretty good matchup for Elves because we just kind of go over the top of what they're trying to do. And we can come up the ground a bit against their small guys. I think I'm more on Well-Wishers to just gain a bunch of life rather than, a Well-Wisher with 5 elves and play air quote blocks a snake pretty well. Keep the Elvish guidance. They will probably have annulls for guidance and Hydra. I don't think I want the longbow. The appeal of longbow is Delver, I guess. Murmuring Mystic. Murmuring Mystic's a bit of a problem, so let's have a longbow. At least it can stop the small guys getting a bit too out of hand and cut a Well-Wisher to make room for that. Yeah, I kind of like that as a setup. I'm not over the moon about longbow, but so we've got turn 2 Timberwatch Elf or Lead the Stampede. Mana Printer just what you normally do when you've got four 1, 2, 3, 4 Priest of Titanias in play. I don't think it matters. Maybe they're likely to have a gut shot, and I'd rather have an Arbor Elf later. I think very likely we're just playing Well-Wisher and Arbor Elf next turn. Again, we're not the aggressive deck here, I don't think. We're just trying to scale up and go big and over the top of whatever they're doing. Again, they don't have removal spells, so our kind of linear plan, not interacting with them, just goes whoop, and this is going over the top. Whilst they're trying to go underneath. Hadn't occurred to me that I could illustrate with the mouse and so on in the middle of the match. So yeah, I think we're just wishing and Arbor Elfing. Maybe we lead the Stampede there whilst the coast is clear, but I do want to get my boys in play, get my mana, set up before taking a turn off to lead the Stampede. That helps us go over the top more quickly and avoids them going underneath us. Well, we've got 7 cards in hand, but not enough mana in play. So, Timberwatch Elf is kind of our bait spell. I guess it's kind of not our bait spell because we can't follow it up in the same turn. But over the course of the longer match, Timberwatch Elf is the bait spell, lead the Stampedes are just kind of the real prize. This may come as a surprise or not to anybody, but I'm still a little bit salty about that Tron deck. Apart from that, we played 3 mono blue decks that are pretty good matchups. I can't help but feel like we could have been 4-0 going for the trophy. But yeah, that's how it goes. It's a really cool idea. I really like the kill ship as a plan. I'd missed that was kind of another card that could help make kind of a monster Tron deck viable. I think there was a pretty decent build of it, but I still just don't understand not having Nyxborn Hydra as a big payoff. And again, it's something that scales really well. Like you can just play it as a 1/2 against fairies, and it does the job. That flexibility is the same as we were saying in this elf deck. Although we have access to a lot of mana, we want to have plays for the terms that we don't have. Infinite mana. And that can often be a X spell. So we're probably going to leave the Stampede then, because our coast is clear. See what we can see. We just see 4 glorious cards. Just check I've selected them all. Yep. I guess we play the Quirion to just explode our hand out in one go. Untap this, pick up this. Yeah, just casually gaining 6. We could gain 12, but we don't need to. And then I guess they could have 2 counter spells, but we can kind of play out. They had 2 counter spells, they're not making any progress on the board. Even when the Delver flips, it's only 6 damage, which is what we're gaining. And then hopefully we've got, 2 things I think they must counter, and then the Vanguard or something to, close the game out. We have access to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. So Thought Scour, so snakes are on the cheap. We're probably on Timberwatch Elf, Vanguard, and not a Hydra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe we do drop a Hydra then. Let's see what we draw. Okay. That, for counting to 8 correctly, that's made this decision very simple. 2 Timberwatch Elves and a guy that's just going to keep drawing us cards. Man, Elves is so dumb. Not dumb. Dumb's the wrong word. So powerful. We've won 3 matches where we've not had to, make a make a conscious decision. I don't know. We sequenced in the game against Fairies and thought about the order we wanted to play cards in. But other than that, we are very much just, Elf Printer go. Because this is any permanent, so this can find the Elvish presence. Elvish guidance. Okay. We have an army of snakes. We have an army of Timberwatch Elves. And a Well-Wisher. 8, 16, 24. So any creature we attack with is lethal. Well, that's a bit boring. It sure looks like we can just export Hydra on the guy for trample and kill him with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give this trample. No, I guess that it's not. Then 9, 18, 27. I mean, it's not lethal. It's pretty good. Man, Elves is so silly. Tap, gain 9. Attack with my 6/6 that will stay a 6/6. I promise. It sure won't get plus 27, 27. Yeah, this deck's silly. I'd like to assign 28 damage to the dome. Okay, so 3/1. Kind of as suspected. We're mostly doing the elf thing. I've liked the Elvish guidance. I don't know whether it's quite paid itself off. But yeah, we just played some favourable matchups. Right, welcome back for round 5. I think I can keep this. We can Forest Cycle, Mass Vandal, hopefully with a target, or Beast Rider, Vanguard, and then we've got some Timberwatch Elves we can play with our 3 lands. It's not explosive, but it's disruptive and got a couple of payoffs. Once we're on the draw, if we find a mana ramp spell on turn 1 rather than the end, that'd be good. I don't think you mulligan this in the dark. Forest, Arbor Elf. So I'm thinking this is more likely like Ponza or something, which is probably another good matchup. Just say everything's a good matchup and, hopefully it holds true. Ponza could kill our Elvish presence, but, Priest, yeah, so it is green-red. Or just red-green ramp, which, again, we should just go over the top, but there'd be complications in the form of breath weapon, I guess, is what we need to look out for. But as for game one, I think we're just going to build a wall of Timberwatch Elves and tell them to go fish. Yeah, I guess we've got like maybe Nylea's Disciple wants to come in. Not completely sold on that as a plan, but let's Forest Cycle, just play another Timberwatch Elf. So we can make a creature we can make our creature a 4/5 on defense. So that would block a Chrysalis happily. Have another Chrysalis, it would no longer block it happily. I'm just going to auto yield here. Boarding party into Jewel Thief. So, I mean, we're taking quite a lot of damage. That's the bad news. The good news is hopefully we're not taking a lot of damage for very many more turns. Oh, it's not a 4/5, is it? It's a 5/6, so we just block here. I am going to kill the repurpose so that it gives them another elf, but we're going to play another elf in our turn. I don't think we can afford to take an extra 3. I guess even as a 5/6 we attack through this. So I can play the Mass Vandal just as a guy. I play the Llanowar Elves. Play the Beast Rider Vanguard. That gives us +1 elf. Are we covered against a Writhing Chrysalis then? This is a 5/6. Not necessarily. They normally run some mana ramp enchantments that I guess if I can kill I would. Beast Rider Vanguard's not really doing a lot for us, it's just probably another creature to block with Timberwatch Elf and not have to pump itself. So maybe I'm just going to Winding Way. No. What, Winding Way, find like a Priest of Titania is appealing. Because we can like block. I guess we're kind of probably jumping here. Yeah, okay, let's Winding Way. We find Aquarian Ranger, it's bonkers. We don't, but we can Forest Cycle the Generous Ant. Which is still making another land drop, and then we play the Llanowar Elves. Because we need another elf in play to let us block the Chrysalis. This way we've got a few untapped creatures so that if they have another, say, boarding party, we're still live. So what's the plan? Send in the team. I'm liking block here with an Elvish Mystic, block here with a Timberwatch, block here with a Timberwatch and pump these two, pump our two, and just jump the Chrysalis for a turn. Oh, because we're not too short on creatures. So if we block this and pump our guy and survive, then we can, then we win the combat. But if we block here and then try and pump our guy and they ram through, we lose the combat. So maybe I block like this and then pump here, try and protect. I've got protection if they try and ram through, and if they don't, then I can protect the Chrysalis. So it's a shame that we lose both our mana ramp creatures, and potentially, well, I guess only potentially 2 elves. Depends if they have a ram through, but they can always ram through an elf. I guess Bannerhide Khrushchev is a potential thing here. Okay, that's not a Bannerhide Khrushchev. This wasn't on my radar. But the point stands that it's something that I could have anticipated, but we didn't take any damage. Was this just a 4/3 trample? Just. Oh, this had trample now? Okay, that's more of a problem. Now that we've just thrown away a load of our elves. We can Mass Vandal it. And the Horrific Assault. Okay, so that's started to go quite poorly. So we can kill your monster token. Just exile an Elvish Mystic. And then make a Beast Rider Vanguard. What do you think about Beast Rider Vanguard? So I think we're looking at like block here, pump our guy to kill it, keep our elf in play, take 5. Next turn they'll play a 4/3. That grows their Chrysalis again, and either a Saga Wildling or a Trample guy or a Forest. I wasn't expecting the Forest. Again, losing both of our Llanowar Elves has really stunted our ability to lead the Stampede. Avenging Hunter, nice. Well, not nice, not for us. We are getting our head kicked in a bit here, aren't we? So I think I block and trade with this and take 6. I'm not thrilled about it. It means that if they ever trap and get, the trap will be lethal. So I quite wanted to attack with a Masked Vandal to just kind of tap it to get the initiative. However, we've drawn the Forest, we don't necessarily need to as much anymore. Problem is, how are we dealing with a 7/6 Trampler and a 6/7? The 6/7 is very likely to just be chump blocked. And the 7/6 does need a bit more attention. So if we just tap out for the Nyxborn Hydra as a 4/5, we can Timberwatch Elf to pump it. That would deal with the Hunter. We could Mass Vandal block the Chrysalis, but then they just kind of go, okay, I'm in the Forge, next time I'm in the Trap. You're all dead. That's kind of tough to beat. Assuming that just doesn't work, because, I mean, what, we'd have the Nyxborn Hydra, and maybe if we draw a Writhing Chrysalis, not Writhing Chrysalis, a Quirion Ranger. I guess we can dig for the Quirion Ranger. And if they pump their guy, we lose our Trampler. Yeah, okay, I don't see how this is going to work. Oh no, we don't lose our Trampler. It's a 4/5. It become a 7/8. And then we're basically trying to lead the Stampede into a Quirion Ranger next turn. Funny how much work the Arbor Elf is doing for us. If we had our own Avenging Hunters, being able to take the initiative from them would be quite useful. I'm not used to the kind of green-red deck playing the Horrific Assault as an example. I kind of get it, but like I think the basically double strike from what's it called? I really like the idea of ram through. Like having your guy basically get double strike is not something that green can do very often. It also, I was thinking similarly to the Kiln Fiend deck that I've been trying to do, where there's only 4 Team of Battle Rages and you need more. I could see ram through Team of Battle Rages being very appealing for that. So they could attack with the Chrysalis and we have to throw away the Masked Vandal. That's kind of what we expect. This does reduce our elf count by 1. If they have another way to give it trample, then yeah, fair dues. They have the Monarch as well as the initiative. And let's lead the Stampede. Again, Quirion Ranger is not here. So like, we have to attack to get the trap, but then I don't see how we're not dying to this Trampoly 5/4. We need to be able to prevent 5 damage to this. That's not going to happen. Cool. So on to game 2. Again, that Horrific Assault was pretty horrific. The turn that we had the 2 Timberwatch Elves, we didn't get as blown out as perhaps we could have done, but that was not a good turn. How do we want to sideboard then? I'm not sold on Masked Vandal in this matchup. Maybe Finalia's Disciple. Seems okay. Maybe I want Well Wishers, but I'm expecting they're going to have breath weapons, which hoses that pretty good. Yeah, alright. So I don't know if you saw along with that, but we didn't draw an Elvish Presence. I'm going to keep this with a very similar hand. 2 Timber Watch and a Dream. So you can Forest Cycle and Beast Rider. So we didn't luck out and draw the land to Timber Watch on turn 2. But that could be fine. Of course, now they have the all the enchantments, so we didn't see the first game. So this is just a crazy amount of mana, even more than our crazy amounts of mana. I think we just Timber Watch and attack. So Breath Weapon, not very good for us. Thing that kills this, not very good for us. A lot of other stuff could be fine. Boarding party into the Monarch. Okay. Notable elf. Entourage and Arbor Elf. I'm guessing we're attacking here. They're not blocking, and then we're playing our Timberwatch elf. I'm kind of tempted to play my Nyxborn Hydra on 1 as well, just to give me another blocker. Whilst these guys don't have trample yet. What's this mean? That you've got the Eldrazi pump thing? I'm still kind of getting a 2 for 1 off that. Yeah, I think I want to play the Hydra. I've got the Disciple, so I'm not under like insane amounts of pressure. It's also a trample creature. So it's a source of trample. It blocks the boarding party to prevent us getting run over. Yeah, we're not playing around Breath Weapon, but I don't think we could. 4/7 mana. What? Elvish Presence, not a bad draw. Taps for 4. Oh, yawning now. Suddenly got tired. So Breath Weapon's really bad for us. Another Chrysalis is pretty tough. Jewel Thief, if it's not a Breath Weapon, is fine. If it is a Breath Weapon, well, the Jewel Thief was the least of the worries. Horrific Assault, sure. That makes sense based on why they wanted to make us tap this last turn. And then we take 6. Do we want to block that, or do we want to try and fight over the Monarch? I guess our fighting over the Monarch's not very successful. So is our Nyxborn Hydra doing more than blocking 6 damage? It might block a Eldrazi Swan, might block next turn. So I think I'm lead the Stampeding to look for a Quirion again, which we do find amongst these 5 bangers. So what does this mean? This means we can attack with a 10 power Trampler and then also untap to block. And the Quirion was a pretty good draw, and playing this last turn was a pretty key decision. So I'm going to have the Monarch, thank you. Let's untap this straight away. And we played the land for the turn. Draw off the Monarch, could be anything, could be an Elvish Presence, could be another Quirion. I feel like there's this turn is very dangerous. Next turn is pretty dangerous, and if we're not, basically if we can play the Nylea's Disciple and a Quirion, then I think we're okay, if we can just get to that point. Yeah, I'm happy that playing this out and then not blocking with it, both things worked pretty well. Nylea's Disciple gains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 life. Back to 16 is pretty nice. So, how would you like to combat? You have to be aware of +1/+1 trample, potentially still Breath Weapon. Although I think if they had Breath Weapon, they'd probably use it earlier. This does look like a Breath Weapon. So I think the key point on Breath Weapon defense is I want to leave Quirion unactivated, which also means not in combat. So I can block Timberwatch here, and then if they have the not necessarily worry about beating the trample thing and breath weapon, because trample would just go on one of these. Block Beast Rider here, block Llanowar Elves here, and try and pump this one. Take 3, 4, 5. Okay. So, block this here. What was I saying about this? So I just had a plan for how I was going to block with everything, and now I feel like I'm not doing that plan. Oh well. Again, if they have a breath weapon and a way to give trample, I think then they have it. If they don't have both, we should be pretty safe. So I'm just going to pump here and then pass priority back. We do die to the trample and breath weapon, but I guess trample and any removal spell. If they had the trample and the breath weapon, you just breath weapon in response to me targeting the Quirion, so we don't need to concern ourselves with that for now. They are getting the Monarch back from us for a turn. They reinforce here. Okay. If you can do that twice. You do that twice, I'm not sure what the thinking was. No effects. Okay. You are the Monarch. For now. What have you got for 4 mana? You are the Monarch. We have established this. Okay, that's a lot of Quirion Rangers. Play Quirion, play Nylea's Disciple. I guess we attack with the Nyxborn first now, because it's +5, it can trample through. I don't think I understand what's going on there. Do we need to play another guy? Like we could untap the Llanowar to play the other Quirion, but I think this is fine. This is a 7/8. We have 2 Quirion activations and then a spare. I'm going to try and get into some combat. Part of me is tempted to just pump this guy though. And go nuts. Trade a 6/3 for a 2/2. Yeah. Yeah, that Nyxborn, the 0/1 Nyxborn Hydra did a lot of work that game. I'm pleased with how that played out. Do I want Master Vandal in the deck still? I don't think so. Like, we saw them have some enchantment ramp spells, but I'd rather do our thing than try and mess with theirs. Yeah, by and large, I'm kind of happy with the, plan. Just need to draw an Elvish Guidance. Well, that's not an Elvish Guidance. This does have an Elvish Guidance, but it does struggle to play anything. We can turn to try and Priest of Titania. Yeah, what a way to go. Play a Priest of Titania, get it horrific assaulted, just lose on the spot. But if it does work, what then? We'd have 3 mana on turn 3. We are on the draw. Okay, I'm going to keep. Mostly because it's got an Elvish Guidance in it, and I do want to see this card in this game. Not necessarily that I think it's a great idea. I'm going to put back Nyxborn Hydra, keep the Winding Way. Again, if we try and do powerful things with our mana, that's better for us than an Arbor Elf would be. 2 Priests of Titania. I mean, that's pretty nice. No breath weapons. 1 time. Doesn't look like a breath weapon. Oh man, the mana printer's just whirring up, ready to go. Play Priest. Add 3 mana. Untap this. Pick up this. Play a forest. I guess it doesn't matter the order that we do this. Elvish Guidance to forest. Basically, I kind of got to imagine we're spewing our entire hand here. I am going to spew. I don't see a world in which they had a breath weapon last turn. They decided to let it go. So really, why wouldn't you? How greedy? Oh man, you wouldn't take the priest and the. I'd have taken the priest and the guy. I'm not too greedy. Okay, well, that is. Oh no, actually, there's a way to show power. This would be a game to get back into. They have one card in hand. Thanks for drawing too many lands. Okay, we didn't need to play the third priest then. I will accept that may have been a bit loosey goosey. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. I can't believe they had a breath weapon. They didn't just take the two guys that would have been good. My read was that I would do it then to kind of, cut off the opponent's turn from being good. But I guess that, yeah, like it being good involves putting more creatures into play. I can't believe that. Okay, you have breath weapon flooded. But are you now out of breath? Elvish guidance is being suitably embarrassing to end the league with. But it did let us get blown out really efficiently. Perfect. If this was, basically anything else, we're going to draw another land, not be able to cast our Generous Scent and die. That's my guess. Whereas if this was, actual factual wild growth, it would be fine. No, we should have forest. Okay, so that breath weapon was pretty nasty. If we'd have sandbagged the priest, maybe we have a shot. But this is getting up to be a 10-7, so we'd need to have both of these in play, which we could have done. Either way, that breath weapon, the second one would have always been good. Pretty nasty. Thanks for watching.